Hi, this is Video Nurse talking about sex and relationships today. And I decided that maybe I'd open up the conversation by talking about something that's been in the news not too long ago. Let me read you a little bit of an article. All right, the G-spot, is it a myth? This is an article taken from a London research program. Researchers on the hunt to find the G-spot once and for all have determined, alas, that it's a myth, assuring every man or woman who has tried and failed to find a lover's G-spot. The King's College London research team concluded that a G-spot is not a physical location, but rather a subjective feeling. The G-spot has been described as the front wall of the vagina 2 to 5 centimeters up. Using twins as subjects, the study concluded that a G-spot does not exist because identical twins were no more likely to share one. Critics of the findings say that this conclusion fails to consider how different partners and techniques can influence a woman's knowledge of her G-spot. So these scientists say that the G-spot is a figment of a woman's imagination. What do you think? Are you a G-spot believer, or is it just a myth? Well, weighing in on that, G-spot is not a myth. There's plenty of documented research and a lot of people writing about this, including the techniques to teach people how to find the G-spot. And, okay, we're just going to talk about this plainly. For men, I mean, you see comedians talk about this, it is just pretty much one track, you do something and you can have an orgasm. Pretty easy for most men. Not all of them fall in that category, but the majority do, and you do the same thing every single time. You apply a proper amount of stimulation, and there you go, which is why, for example, masturbation is really, really popular for boys and men. You can do one thing, do it enough, and it'll happen. For women, the complexity of sex allows for some other kinds of exploration. You can't always just do the same thing the same way, the same times. It doesn't quite always work that way. And women who say that it does, a lot of them also are the same ones who say they faked orgasms to make a partner feel good about him or herself. So, let me read you something from a book that I received in the mail from my friend Violet Blue. It's been on Oprah a number of times. I'm going to plug your book, Violet, because it's very well written. It's very funny. It's also very educational. On page 4, she writes what the G-spot is. Plainly put, the G-spot is an area just inside your vagina, which, when you're turned on, may feel really good to rub or massage. It may even feel good, so good that you have an orgasm from that type of stimulation alone, so you can have a G-spot orgasm. About 1 to 2 inches inside and on the front, belly button side, of your vaginal canal is the route through which urine leaves your body. It's called your urethra. The urethra is a little channel between your bladder and the outside world, and it's surrounded with erectile tissue. Okay, that's like what's penis. And about 40 glands and ducts that all respond pleasurably to stimulation. This is the urethral sponge. In some women, stimulation of the G-spot to orgasm is accompanied by an expulsion of fluids from the glands and ducts in the sponge in a very powerfully pleasurable way. It's very similar to basically an ejaculation, but for women, a female ejaculation. In many women, it's the urethra or the area right around it that responds best to stimulation, which is why when some people are doing G-spot play and trying to stimulate this area, at first the woman will say, almost have this urge to go pee because it's so close by. What the G-spot isn't. Continuing on in the Smart Girl's Guide to the G-spot. First of all, it's not a magic button. You can just go bing, 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 and press it, delivering unending waves of instant orgasms. Oh no. Over the past few decades, magazine articles, online sex commerce sites, and even porn have all made the G-spot seem like the pot of gold at the end of the female orgasmic rainbow. As if you could just find it and one touch would send your eyes rolling skyward and make you come like a crazed banshee. Okay, so she's explaining here that, it's not this thing that once you find it, you can just keep going and pressing it and playing with it, and you're always going to have this amazing response. But what most people find, and she goes on to write in her book, that when properly stimulated, can be a wonderful part of sex play, and you can use tools to access it a little bit better, or you can teach your partner how to reach that with his or her fingers, applied in the proper place, and with massage as well from the outside, can access that. So I, for one, and many, many other researchers and women and men have come to know that the G-spot is a real thing. It is not a myth, and it is not that elusive. So lots and lots of people laughed about that article that came out um, in British papers and was posted everywhere on the internet very quickly. There was quite a lot of reaction on Twitter um, as people were laughing. How could researchers conclude that it's a subjective feeling, not a physiological location in a woman's body? Well, I wonder how many women they asked.